So this is what you're looking for in Game 2 when Week 1 looked like what it did for the Cardinals. This was not what we expected of this matchup. Let's start narrow and then broaden, starting with Marvin Harrison Jr. You saw much of what made him so highly touted and the top receiving prospect in this class. If you see something like that, the offensive game plan has to be dialed that way, does it not?
No question. When you invest a first-round top-5 pick in a player like Marvin Harrison Jr., who plays the wide receiver position, you want to get him involved. You want to feature plays for him. We didn't really see that in Week 1 for whatever reason against Buffalo. But he is him. He is that type of player. You see how the New York Giants are featuring Malik Neighbors? They're dialing up passing plays for him. That's what the Arizona Cardinals did today. And guess what? It was overly successful. He is your best receiving option, right? When you talk about the here and now and the potential, let's create some things for him to get going early in the ball game. And I love that when you talk about the first drive, they're dialing up Marvin Harrison Jr.'s number, and he answered the call. Even if it was collect, he made sure he answered the call, and he answered so overly happily to do so. And then look at the big three components, right? The big three, Kyler Murray, 266 yards. You talked about the perfect passer rating, 3 touchdowns. James Conner, 21 totes for 122 yards and a touchdown. And, of course, Marvin Harrison, 130 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Anytime your big three can give you that type of production, you better believe a capital W will follow.
So you're telling me he is who we thought he was?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
just a little.
For all the naysayers that didn't see Week 1, got to be patient a little bit, right, Joe?
I just want to sneak a little Denny Green in there.
I like that.
We got the Cardinals, we got Marv.
Makes sense.
Putting some people to rest and at least buying himself another week to go out there and produce. You're still trying to get on the same page with his quarterback, no doubt about that. Caught half of his targets. Kyler targeting him in the end zone further on in the game. Couple fade looks that they just couldn't hook up on. But this is also the question of Kyler Murray that has yet to be answered. Marv is going to be a guy who allows us to see the fullest form of Kyler. What have you made of his season thus far?
I mean, Kyler Murray looks pretty good. Number one, he's healthy. Number two, he seems to have embraced a liking with this offense. And I love how they're utilizing him. And they're not putting handcuffs on Kyler. You know what, Kyler, if you want to run around, buy time, extend time, make plays, do so. Do so. And I think that's when he's at his best, when he's able to improvise, you know, when the initial first, second, third read is not there. And let's keep it real. This was their first win for the Arizona Cardinals. But they had the Buffalo Bills down to the brink last week. Buffalo had to come from behind to win that ball game. Kyler and the Arizona Cardinals got up to a fast start. They weren't able to hold on to that lead, and they squandered away. They bounced back against a divisional foe, a team that has had a lot of success against them in their own building. So this is a huge win for Arizona, and most importantly, a huge win for Marvin Harrison Jr., because this is what we all have been waiting to see when you know who he can be as a wide receiver, and he was a top 5 pick in the draft, deserving so with that type of skill set. Get him going early.
On the other side of this one, this is the second worst loss by margin of loss in Sean McVay's head coaching career. This was not a close football game. The margin by which you lose doesn't matter. They are wins, they are losses, but this did not look good. And now you are sitting at 0-2 without your top 2 wide receivers, and you're staring down the 49ers, the Bears, and the Packers as your remaining September schedule. How does LA get this right? I mean, we know there will be no Puka Nacua as he is on IR for at least 4 weeks. The bye makes it 5, could be even longer. This looked like all the signs of a high ankle here, not going to diagnose, but the ankle was under there for a tad too long. Cooper Kupp has dealt with some things throughout his career. What's the solution?
You got to try to get healthy. But then with their health, you're going to ask a lot of players that are not used to receiving that type of responsibility. And they tried to show up today. Some of the guys that were filling in for some of the starters that were not in action today, they just couldn't get the job done. So this is going to be an ugly September for the Rams. I got to keep it real with you. I understand you expect to see guys compete and try to fulfill their role, but if you're a second or third guy and you're playing as a starter against other teams' starters, you're going to miss the opportunity when it comes to being super successful and doing so consistently. You talked about some of the teams they have coming up. All playoff caliber teams, and all of those teams are more healthier than you are when it comes to the Rams. We don't know what the status is for Cooper Kupp. You know, he was the most reliable pass catcher that was in this ball game because of the injury to Puka Nacua, and then he left the ball game. Not to mention the offensive line. They were dealing with injuries as well, and the same can be said for the defense. You know what I mean? So it's been an unlucky start to the season for Sean McVay, but it's your job to get guys as prepared as possible to go out and fight and try to be in a position to win. Unfortunately, today, they were not in a position to win, but the most discouraging thing about this loss, they were never in this ball game.
Yeah. It seems like every single season we have at least one playoff caliber team that you take the Sharpie out and you scratch them off because of the injury bug biting so hard. The injury bug has bitten early and often in LA. We'll see if they can bounce back. A matchup with the 49ers coming up.